Ask which weapon was better in World War II, and you'll get confident answers delivered far too quickly. The M1 Garand is often treated as the unquestioned champion, while the M1 Carbine is dismissed as a compromise or a rear echelon tool. That framing misses the reality experienced by the men who carried them. Troop preference was not ideological, it was situational. Soldiers did not care about legacy or post-war mythology. They cared about weight on their shoulders, recoil in their hands, and whether the weapon did what they needed it to do when things went wrong. The rivalry between the Garand and the Carbine only makes sense when you look at combat conditions, unit roles, and the brutal arithmetic of fatigue and firepower. The M1 Garand earned respect because it hit hard and kept hitting. The Garand was a full-power battle rifle firing the .306 cartridge, and soldiers felt that authority immediately. It penetrated cover, dropped enemies reliably, and remained effective at distances well beyond what most firefights required. Infantrymen in line units valued that power because it gave them confidence. In open terrain, hedgerows, and defensive positions, the Garand dominated. Its semi-automatic action allowed sustained fire without manual cycling, which was a dramatic advantage over bolt-action rifles used by many opponents. That respect did not come without cost. The Garand was heavy, especially when carried all day with ammunition, gear, and rations. Recoil was stout. Reloading with 8-round on-block clips forced awkward pauses in combat, and the famous clip ejection sound, while often exaggerated, was noticed by troops. Despite these drawbacks, many frontline infantrymen trusted the Garand because it gave them reach and stopping power when it mattered most. Preference here was rooted in confidence, not comfort. The M1 Carbine won loyalty by being light, fast, and forgiving. The Carbine entered service for a very different reason. It was designed for officers, radiomen, paratroopers, and support troops who needed something better than a pistol but could not carry a full rifle. At just over 5 pounds, the Carbine felt almost weightless compared to the Garand. Its recoil was minimal, allowing rapid follow-up shots even for smaller or less experienced soldiers. In close quarters, it handled quickly and intuitively. Troops who favored the Carbine often did so because it reduced physical and mental strain. Long marches, airborne operations, and jungle fighting, really rewarded lighter weapons. Soldiers in the Pacific frequently praised the Carbine for patrols and ambushes where engagement distances were short. The ability to carry more ammunition with less weight also mattered quite a bit. 30 rounds of .30 Carbine weighed far less than the same number of .30-06 rounds, and that translated directly into endurance. Stopping power became the fault line in troop opinions. The most persistent criticism of the Carbine was its cartridge. The .30 Carbine round sat somewhere between a pistol and a rifle cartridge, and in some conditions it struggled. Reports from cold weather combat, particularly during the Battle of the Bulge, claimed reduced effectiveness against heavy clothing. Whether these accounts were exaggerated or situational, perception mattered. Soldiers who felt their weapon lacked stopping power lost confidence in it quickly. Garand users rarely doubted their rifle's lethality. That psychological edge mattered as much as ballistic reality. In combat, belief in your weapon influences how aggressively you fight. Many troops who switched from the Carbine to the Garand described feeling better armed, even if they were, more fatigued. Unit role mattered more than individual preference. The army did not issue weapons randomly, and, preferences often aligned with assignments. Riflemen in infantry squads leaned toward the Garand because it matched their mission. Paratroopers, vehicle crews, and engineers favored the Carbine because it fit theirs. This was not a failure of design. It was a reflection of specialization. The Carbine was never intended to replace the Garand, and when used outside its intended role, it was judged unfairly. Combat experience often reshaped opinions. Some Carbine carriers scrounged Garands after heavy fighting. Others ditched Garands for captured or issued Carbines when mobility became more important than range. Preference evolved with terrain, enemy tactics, and exhaustion. Reliability was actually a bit closer than legend suggests. Both weapons performed well under harsh conditions, but, neither was perfect. The Garand's gas system could be fouled by improper ammunition or neglect. The carbine's magazines were prone to damage, and, well, early models struggled with full auto variants introduced later in the war. Soldiers judged reliability less by design flaws and more by maintenance and familiarity. A well-maintained carbine in trained hands was trusted as much as a Garand. Post-war mythology really distorted how preferences are remembered. After the war, the Garand's reputation soared. It became a symbol of victory, industrial power, and infantry dominance. The carbine, although issued in massive numbers but tied to support roles, became easier to dismiss. Veterans' accounts, you see, were filtered through hindsight and cultural narratives. In reality, troop preference was never universal. It was practical, conditional, and honestly, deeply personal. So, which did troops actually prefer? The honest answer is both. Depending on the fight in front of them, the Garand was preferred when range, power, and decisive fire mattered most. The carbine was preferred when speed, weight, and endurance decided survival. Soldiers did not argue about which was better in theory. They cared about which worked for them in that moment. If you want more grounded military history that looks past myth and into lived experience, subscribe to Strange History, share this with others who value nuance over nostalgia, and, keep questioning the stories we think we already know.